Today, I'm going to show you how to get ahead of 99% of developers. Software engineering has become increasingly popular over the years, and more people are learning to program, learning to code, and moving over to software jobs. So you need to stay ahead of the pack. Unfortunately, most developers fail to make huge progress because they're just like the other 99% of developers out there. To become part of the 1%, you have to be willing to do what the 99% will not. I've been fortunate to work with some incredible developers over the past 12 years I've been in software. So today, I'll share with you the 7 key things that great developers do that others don't, a 3-step daily routine to start improving now. For those who want to excel, keep watching. The first key thing that great developers do that others don't is they play to their strengths. The best developers I've worked with all had very broad technical skill sets. You could put them on pretty much any project, and whether it was back-end work, front-end work, this language, that language, most frameworks, they could pretty much just get on and do the work. But they would always excel in one particular area. And when working in a team, they would always try and lean into those areas where they could produce their best work for the team. Whether it was due to previous experience in tackling the same or similar problems, or because their technical skills were well suited to the area, you would always find them building great software by combining previous experience, technical skills, and genuine passion for the craft. Bruce Lee once said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. It's one of my favourite quotes because great developers know when to be using that one kick that they've practiced over and over again. And they know that by playing to their strengths in that way, that it benefited honing their craftsmanship and benefiting the team the most by applying their skills in the areas that is needed most. Make sure each day you spend time honing your craft and building on your greatest strengths." The second key is they had deep knowledge. This is something that only comes with time, but every great developer I worked had deep and useful knowledge. It's the type of knowledge that can only be attained with hard work, effort, and dealing with a wide variety of problems. It might have been deep knowledge in a particular framework or language they've used, or it might be invaluable domain knowledge for systems in the businesses that they worked in. Whatever the case, it was always highly valued by that team because they became the go-to person in that area. Now, they didn't try to hide or hoard their knowledge for a sense of security. Instead, they always tried to share the information with others and share the knowledge by documenting it, realizing that hoarding information really only benefits the individual and has the downside of creating a bottleneck in the team and a single point of failure. Next time you're at work, have a look around for areas and problems you're inherently interested in that are valuable to the business. Then spend time going neck deep in whatever it might be to build knowledge and gain information on that one thing so you can document it and share it with others around. Key thing number 3, they tackled the hard things. Simple fact, most people are not willing to tackle truly difficult things. And I know that sounds like quite a stab, but there's a couple of dimensions to this. Difficulty is not simply how technically complex something is, but is a combination of complexity and friction the person experiences. This is my own quote, but simply put, what's difficult for one person is not necessarily difficult for somebody else, and vice versa. And the best developers I worked with tackled problems that were both in and out of their comfort zone. They tackled problems that had so much friction for them, but they never gave up in trying to solve the problem. They were willing to persist and break through that barrier no matter what. And they didn't always do it alone. They knew when to reach out for help from other people. Determination isn't about like rock-harded stubbornness. It's about never giving up, but realizing that you might need to take a different approach and be willing to call him back up to assist. Again, look around, see what difficult things people are avoiding but shouldn't. What issues or projects are people avoiding because they're simply too difficult? Those are the issues you want to go after to progress. If you can begin to tackle those problems, or even better, gather a team of like-minded, disciplined people to take on those problems, then you show your ability to persevere and lead people to solving a difficult problem that's valuable. Key thing number 4, they invested time. I might get some flack for this next one, but hear me out. If you want to be truly great at something, you need to put in the time. A lot of people talk about work-life balance, but the truth is, if you simply put in more time, you've got more chance to reach the top. Very few talented individuals reach that level of greatness through putting in the average amount of time everyone else does. Instead, you see the great in any area, and you know what they do? They put in the time and then some. software engineers are no different. I'd highly recommend Bounce, The Myth of Talent and the Power of Practice by Matthew Said to understand why time trumps talent. But it's not about time for time's sake, it's about purposeful time spent. And the best developers spend their time wisely. They block out their time for purposeful practice and they give themselves enough time to sink into deep work. Danko, a prolific online writer and entrepreneur, agrees on having large time blocks of deep work. Because if you're going to tackle big and difficult things, you're going to need time to do it. The path through learning is not a straight line, so you need time to be able to lose the path, get over the obstacle, and break through the barriers along the way. Invest time each day or each week in that one thing that will benefit you the most over the long term. Whether it's studying for that AWS exam you said you would complete, tackling code challenges, or learning a new language, invest the time that the 99% won't. Key thing number 5, they read the docs. It's a meme at this point, but simply read the documentation. The fact that very few people actually do this is startling. And yes, I know not all open source or closed sourced software has great documentation, but if it has any documentation at all and you hit your first problem along the way, you should probably start there. The great developers I worked with all went back to the documentation for problems where they couldn't figure it out intuitively. Most of the time, they'd find what they're looking for, fix the issue, and move on. Also, another thing I noticed that they would do is they wouldn't just read the documentation, they would test the knowledge on it. So they'd take an example away from the documentation or a similar one to try and implement. And also they would check back to see if the way they initially tried to implement it was how it was meant to be used. I say get good at reading and testing your knowledge from documentation to improve your understanding and ability to solve your own problems when you come across them. Not only that, but testing yourself is the best way to commit things that you've learned to your long-term memory. Key number 6, they were incredible at debugging. We've all had that moment in production where the alerts are going off, PagerDuty won't stop calling people, management is up in a tizzy, and everybody's scrambling to identify the problem. Great developers absolutely shine in these scenarios due to one key skill: their ability to analyze and debug problems. It's one thing to be able to write software, it's a totally different thing to be able to debug and fix it. Temperament plays a big part of this one because those same great developers have the ability to stay calm, analyze the situation without the noise and the pressure distracting them. They know their tools, they know their logging, they know their software, and they know how to go about finding the problem. Because 50% of solving any problem is understanding what the problem actually is. This debugging work chart from Nikki Schiapno, sorry if I butchered the name there, is a nice frame of reference. Spend time learning your debugging tools both in your code editor and in your browser. Understand your application logs and don't shy away from the next production issue. So like I mentioned at the beginning, here's 3 steps you can take every day to outdo the 99% of people. Starting with number 1, dedicate 2 to 3 hours each day to deep work. So whether it's during work time by switching off distracting comms and getting some solid hours of concentrated deep focus, or in your spare time on your own projects and your own products, make sure to spend time every day in a deep work state where you can build long-term memory and knowledge. Step number 2, prioritize the most difficult tasks first. Our energy depletes throughout the day, both our mental energy and physical energy. If you've identified a difficult problem at work or tackling a coding challenge or a difficult concept, make that the first thing you tackle in the day. Set yourself up for success by utilizing your peak energy, mostly the morning, to tackle the most important and difficult things first. And step number 3, read other people's code. If it's true that in order to be a good writer then you must read, then it makes sense that in order to be a good programmer you must read a lot of code. It's useful to see how different people code same or similar tools and how open source projects write the documentation. Read enough and you'll start to get a sense of what good and bad code and documentation look like. If you made it this far in the video, I'll give you a bonus. There's one more daily step you can take to become a healthier and more productive person in the long run. It's actually more like 10,000 daily steps, but make sure to check out this video where I explain this daily life changer in full.